Chapter 1. Why traditional koi filtration is quietly failing us. The koi pond was meant to be your escape, your still water sanctuary. But somewhere along the way, that peaceful idea became a noisy, high-maintenance machine. Pumps buzz under the surface. Filter boxes overflow. UV lights blink red. You don't manage a pond anymore, you manage hardware. And while traditional pond filtration systems do provide results, they demand more than they give. They rely on pressure. They push water forcefully through narrow chambers and dense filter media, burning electricity day and night. What seems efficient at first becomes an energy-hungry ecosystem that runs on noise and wear. Maintenance isn't occasional, it's built in. Clogged impellers, sludge-coated sponges, flow dropouts. Every component becomes a ticking clock. Miss a cleaning cycle, and your water turns murky. Let the UV bulb fade and algae bloom overnight. The system doesn't forgive. It waits for you to fail. And yet, most hobbyists accept this as normal. But koi feel what we don't question. Vibrations from pumps agitate their nerves. Turbulent outflows disrupt their rest. Koi, bred for beauty and grace, must now adapt to a world of relentless current and subtle stress. And let's talk cost. A single 150-watt pump running continuously consumes over 3.5 kilowatt-hours daily. Add UV sterilizers, aerators, and backups, and you're left with a pond that's burning through both power and peace. All this effort just to keep your pond barely balanced. Here's the secret most pond owners never hear. Water doesn't need to be pushed to move. It only needs to be lifted. Chapter 2. When water learns to rise on its own. What if the answer to pond balance wasn't pressure, but permission? At the heart of the airlift system lies a surprisingly gentle idea. Let air do what it already wants to do. Instead of pushing water with spinning blades and electricity, it lifts water with rising breath. This isn't high-tech, it's high-truth. The principle is stunningly simple. When air is released through a diffuser at the base of a vertical pipe, it rises naturally. As it does, it draws water upward with it. The result is upward movement without noise, without vibration, without strain. It's not a force system, it's a cooperative one. And that changes everything. The water flows but never churns. It moves steadily through filtration chambers, allowing bacteria to work at peak efficiency. Oxygen saturates every molecule along the way. Waste settles naturally instead of being shredded and scattered. Even the koi respond. They glide instead of dodge, drift instead of dart. There are no impellers to fail, no overheating motors, no violent currents. Just air, lifting water, supporting life. And all of it driven by a small air pump you can barely hear. For decades, we thought pond engineering was about force. But maybe it was always supposed to be about rhythm, about breath, about making room for what nature already knows how to do. Chapter 3. When the koi start to dance again. Sometimes, the fish tell you what the water cannot. Before the airlift system, your koi moved with hesitation. They darted when the pump activated. They lingered in quiet corners, avoiding the jet-like flow near the filter outlet. You told yourself it was normal, that koi were simply shy, or that turbulence kept them active. But deep down, something felt off. And then everything changed. With the airlift system in place, the water no longer fights itself. The current no longer collides, it flows. The koi seem to notice immediately. Their movements soften. They explore the pond with long, fluid arcs. No more frantic darting. No more sudden bursts to escape vibration. Instead, they glide. The airlift doesn't just change how water moves, it changes how koi behave. That's because water quality improves across multiple fronts. Oxygen levels rise. Nitrite conversion becomes more stable. Beneficial bacteria thrive. And with calmer water, koi stress levels drop. Stress is the silent enemy of koi health. It weakens immune response. It dulls color. It causes erratic swimming, fin clamping, even ulcers. But in the presence of calm, oxygen-rich, biologically balanced water, koi begin to show their true selves, bright, confident, expressive. You'll see more than just health. You'll see behavior. A koi that hovers like a ghost in slow motion. Another that flares its fins with pride. Tiny feeding behaviors you never noticed before, now performed right in front of you. It's as if your koi are finally saying thank you. Chapter 4. Less work, more water, the pond owner's quiet relief. There's a moment when you realize the pond no longer controls your schedule. No more rushing to rinse filter mats before guests arrive. No more sudden panic when the water turns cloudy overnight. No more worrying about that faint rattle inside the pump housing. For the first time, you can simply sit. This is what the Airlift system offers, not just clean water, but quiet freedom. With traditional filtration, you were a caretaker of equipment. Every week meant lifting soggy pads, flushing chambers, scrubbing debris, and checking flow. One skipped routine, and the pond punished you with murk and imbalance. You weren't nurturing life, you were troubleshooting hardware. But Airlift is different. It doesn't clog like an impeller. It doesn't overheat. It doesn't demand weekly attention. Instead, it creates steady flow through simple physics. Air rises, water follows. The filter media stay cleaner longer. Sludge settles predictably. You intervene less, and your pond rewards you more. Even the silence is different. Where once you heard humming, buzzing, and vibration, now you hear nothing. Maybe birdsong, maybe the wind, but not your pump. It runs quietly from a small air pump tucked away, consuming minimal power, whispering movement through the system. And as your koi swim, you find yourself doing what you used to dream of, watching, not working. You return to the reason you built the pond in the first place. Chapter 5. The pond that no longer costs the earth. It's easy to forget that every ripple comes with a price. Every hour your pump runs, it draws from something larger than your backyard. Electricity, resources, heat. Over months, even years, that cost adds up, not just on your bill, but on the planet. Traditional pond systems are not gentle machines. They draw hundreds of watts per day, often running non-stop. They generate heat, noise, and wear. They require replacements, seals, bulbs, motors, parts. And most of that ends up somewhere it shouldn't. But an airlift system? It sips energy. A single low-pressure air pump can power an entire pond's filtration with as little as 10 to 30 watts. That's less than a laptop charger. And unlike traditional pumps, it generates minimal heat, operates in open air, not submerged, and lasts for years with near-zero maintenance. The impact is immediate. Your electricity use drops. Your equipment list shrinks. Your water chemistry stabilizes. But more importantly, your footprint fades. No more heavy-duty power draw just to keep koi alive. No more tossing burned-out UV bulbs into landfill. No more dreading the summer spike in energy costs. With Airlift, your pond becomes sustainable, not just ecologically but emotionally. You know it's working with nature, not against it. And as the koi glide in silence, as the surface reflects the sky, you realize this is not just a pond that works. It's a pond that rests easy in the world. Chapter 6. When water teaches you to let go. You thought this was about filtration, about pumps and pipes, about numbers and nitrates. But it wasn't. It was about control, how much of it you thought you needed, and how much you were ready to release. The Airlift system doesn't just move water. It moves something in you. At first, it's subtle. The silence, the savings, the smoothness of flow. But over time, you begin to notice something deeper. You stop rushing. You stop fixing. You sit more. Breathe slower. The pond becomes less of a project and more of a presence. In that presence, koi glide like they remember something ancient. No machine chasing them. No current battling their path. Just space. Just breath. Just rhythm. You begin to wonder, what else have I been over-engineering in life? What other systems could thrive with less interference? Because the pond has shown you, clarity doesn't come from force. It comes from trust, from alignment, from knowing when to step back. The Airlift is not flashy. It doesn't roar. It rises. And maybe, so do you. Not because you're doing more, but because you've learned the art of doing just enough. The pond is clear. The fish are calm. The silence holds everything. And in that quiet, you've returned, not to a system, but to yourself.